Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name is Stuart. Way back when I started the channel just over 2 years ago, the first videos were all about Warlord Games, Epic Battles, Black Powder, American Civil War at the time. Now a lot has changed since then, not least the quality of my thumbnails, but let's have a look at their latest offering. The Warlord Games range has expanded no end since those original videos were made. They've redone the starter boxes and added in some of the new plastics. There's 2 offerings available now, and I'd say it's in a pretty healthy place with a well-supported range, lots of terrain and things like that. Now there'll always be extras that people want. I know people would like some different style of inventory with forage caps, kepi type things, but all in all I think it's a pretty well-rounded range at the moment. So Warlord Games have very kindly sent me one of each of the new offerings, 3 new things to add to the line. So we have the Siege Mortar battery, the ambulance and the core tower. So let's have a little look at them in turn. I will show you the actual miniatures and clean them and build them as well, so I can give you a full round review. We'll start off with the Siege Mortar battery. So that's in the UK, that's £10 for this battery of 3 stands. The studio paint jobs make them look pretty cool, very nice looking miniatures, and I was quite impressed to see these suggested paint colours, which is really nice if you're new to it. You could order your paints at the same time, so good marketing but helpful as well. I notice here that it's showing as Warlord Resin Plus. And if we look at the description, so it talks about the little bit of history about what the Siege Mortars were used for. But if you see here, primary description, it says 3 Warlord Resin Siege Mortars. Now here's the actual set, and obviously these aren't resin at all, so I'm not sure whether these are going to be produced in resin later. The plan was to do it in resin, and that didn't work out. But we have them in metal, and I know that will please a lot of people anyway. So this one here has got an awful lot of flash on it, but it shouldn't be an issue clearing it up, and you'll see that it isn't in a few moments. The frame that they're on is quite unusual. I wonder if that is because they were designed to go with the Warlord resin and the way that's cast. And it does result in quite a lot of waste resin at the end. Those are pretty chunky bits. I had to cut them off very carefully using my metal snips, not my plastic ones, but they clean up very well in the end. Now I've just blue tacked these on the basis for ease of painting later on, though you could probably get away with gluing them on to start with. They're quite well spaced out. I'm quite impressed with the sculpts. I'm a fan of this aesthetic. I'm a fan of the aesthetic for all the Epic Battles ranges, and that carries over. They're obviously 3D sculpted, very clean, well proportioned. So next up we have the Signal Core Tower. This is a bit of fun. This is priced at $15.50, and the description is that it's a made to order, which makes sense. I think that sometimes things like this will be fairly low, slow moving stock compared to some others, non-essential, but I think that looks pretty cool. Again, the studio paint job is very nice, shows the tower off pretty well. See that it's listed as resin, and in the description below as well it's listed as resin. So let's open up the actual packet itself and see what we've got inside. So there we are with a big chunky bit of resin and more metal miniatures again. So the additional troops are in metal. Again, I don't know what the original intention was, whether it's a temporary thing or not, or whether it's part metal, part resin, but it's all good for me. I'm happy with either. These look fairly clean. Again, that pretty chunky frame round it, so you do need to be careful while cutting it away. Now I've left the bottom on here for ease of painting. I don't want to paint them on the tower itself. The methods will be very different, but they clean up really well. I'm pretty happy with the sculpts. The tower itself, again, super easy to clean up, just a little bit around the edge of the base. I remember a fan of the chap that's leaning up against the side. I don't know if he's having a crafty smoke. And the final offering is the ambulance. Now, this is a pretty cool looking model in the pictures. Again, the studio paint scheme, they've done a really good job of it there. And it definitely shows off the model really well. Again, this is listed as a resin model, but this one also says metal parts. And you can see down the bottom in there, it lists it as resin, but it definitely says in the main description there, resin and metal. So it's a bit mixed in the way they describe things. I've noticed that before on the website. So as we open it up, you'll see that it is that mix of resin and metal, which makes total sense for something like this. Again, I'm not sure whether that was the intention is for it to be all resin at some point. Now this isn't Warlord resin, the actual main carriage there. That's sort of more standard resin, just the same as the signal tower was. But again, once cleaned up, they look pretty cool. Horse sculpts are horse sculpts, but for me, I quite like them. They're not too short and chunky. I quite like my horses looking like that. Stretcher bearers there, somehow that's out of focus, even though the previous shot wasn't. And then you'll see the guy that rides the front of the ambulance as well, also out of focus. My apologies there. But again, the sculpts are really, really good, very, very clean and easy to clean up. So all in all, I think some really, really nice additions to the range. I'm not sure the core tower and the ambulance will end up in everyone's shopping basket, but they are things that are a bit of fun, something as a focus on the gaming table, and just nice additions overall to your army. And I know something that regular viewer John Kitchen would say in a comment is that they're great for gifts. So when you have to give a suggestion to your loved ones, nearest and dearest, and nice kids and things, what to get you for a gift, but you know it can't be too expensive. Those kind of things around the £15 mark could be the right things to ask for, and then it removes that kind of, oh, should I buy that when I can put the money towards something else? It takes that away, and they're nice things to have. Now, the Siege Mortar battery, I think it's a different thing altogether. I think more people will want to add that to their armies. And I think at £10 for me, that seems fairly priced. I know people have differing opinions on that, but it seems okay. If you compare it to Peter Pig, which I often do, because I know that people will say, well, they're too expensive, we'll buy them from somewhere else. Peter Pig prices. Now, I had a quick look, and they don't seem to sell a mortar. I couldn't see it. I might be wrong, but their packs for artillery crew, I think, are 435 for 8. So if we try and compare that across, you've got 1.5 packs worth of crew there. Now, if we factor in the actual mortars themselves, which you have to buy separately from Peter Pig if they made them, so 3 of those and the little stacks of cannonballs, and pretend that those are the equivalent to the other half a pack, which I think is fair in terms of the amount of metal, and then from Peter Pig for a corresponding amount of metal would cost you £8.70 versus the £10 there. I don't think there's a lot in it. And if you're like me and you prefer the aesthetic of the Warlord Epic range rather than the Peter Pig range, which I do like, but I prefer the aesthetic for this, then I'd happily pay that to the slight difference for it. So, but I don't think we're miles away there. I don't think there's any kind of shock stories here around the price of that. That looks pretty good to me. Now, let me know what you think. Are you going to be adding these to your armies? I will very likely be picking up some more Siege Mortars in the future, so I can have them for both sides. I have no idea how many I would need, but it's nice just to have a battery of each available for each side. Thank you again to Warlord Games for sending these over for review, especially Lorenzo and Kieran, who arranged for these to be sent over really, really quickly. I will be doing a painting tutorial very, very soon related to one of these. The original plan was to do the Siege Mortar battery, but in many ways that's covered very easily by some of the other painting tutorials I've done before. So I thought I might actually do the core tower. Not only am I still painting some infantry there, so I can show people how I may paint them now. It's been a very long time since I did the initial Union infantry painting tutorial, and there's some new express colour paints and there's new army painter speed paints available now, and I think the blue I use for coats would be different for that original recipe, so I can show that off there, but I can also show you how I would go about painting the wood on the tower as well, so it's something else that people can draw from if they like to follow how I paint. And if you are finding this video new and you've not found the channel before, there is lots of American Civil War Epic Battles stuff on the channel. Now, they are my older videos, so they're not quite as well edited or polished, and some of them are a little bit long. I think that first painting tutorial was about an hour long, and I get the same info over in about 20 minutes. So slight difference, so do forgive me, but they may still be useful to you. And please do check out all the other stuff on the channel as well. And if you like what you see, consider subscribing. If you've enjoyed the video, please give us a like. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.